in, as you can see here, it takes me and you and Emily. I'm guessing both of you are going to be company administrators. It takes you to the list view. So the list view is the list of every work order, not just submitted work orders, but the PMs that have been generated, the work orders that have been submitted. So this one here, somebody submitted this, when was it? On the 14th. No one has approved it yet, so they must be waiting still. And also the metering types. Now, metering types, I'm not sure if you're going to use that module. It's basically, you can set up a trigger. For example, if a truck or a piece of machinery has run, if you want a new work order against a piece of machine every 1,000 hours, as an example, what you could do is you could print the QR code and paste it inside that machine. I'm just going to use a Caterpillar machine, for example, truck. That user puts in how many hours he's used it or she's used it today. If that total becomes 1,000, a new work order will appear on automatically here, like this. So I've got two of them, one called miles, another one called hours. You can name them, create them however you want. So two, and they are completed already. So these are metering type of work orders. The PMs are scheduled by a calendar base. You're familiar with that. And the work orders, I'll just go to all, and work orders are submitted. Now, how do work orders enter Maxpanda? Number one is obviously I have an account here, my profile, and I can just simply click submit work order here or the text, same thing. So this is a new work order I'm submitting that I need Emily to approve or reject. Another way is on my iPhone or Android or tablets, right? Same thing, your username, you can download the mobile app and you can submit it through there. Another way is I mentioned this earlier, every building, location, asset, inventory, the parts and the bins. I'm not sure if you utilize bins, but all that automatically gets a QR code generated against that data. So every piece of equipment, you'll have a QR code. You can print it, paste it inside the truck or the HVAC or the saw. And anyone that has permissions, the right permissions, can scan that QR code and submit a work order using the QR code. Any questions about that?
No, that sounds very intuitive.
Very simple. We want work orders coming in quick. We want your staff. We want you not to have to train your staff, because all they have to do is download the mobile app. They go up to the machine, scan it, and there's 4 parts on the mobile. Let me just go to the mobile. So here, if you can see this picture, there's a submit work order. There's a my work order list. That's all the work orders that I've submitted for Emily to approve, because there's a database for that. There's my work orders. These are my to-do list. So if I was a staff or vendor, this would be all the work orders in here that have been assigned to me by Phil, Jeff, Emily, and all the overdue work orders, because we feel those are important. Now, the blue bar is the scan button here. It'll scan barcodes. It'll scan QR codes that are in your system, etc. So we'll leave that for later.
So, okay. Just a detailed question. Like if you're going to use a whole bunch of parts and you just scan that QR code once, can you upload or modify the quantity that you're going to issue to that work order?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
In fact, we have something called direct issue. This was built years ago. It was a request by, I can't remember who, but anyways, once you have a purchase order, obviously the part, you ordered some parts arrive from the vendor. So if you have 100, let's say, widgets that arrive, you can scan that barcode. You can actually direct issue 5 of those parts to a active work order, to anything here. These are active work orders. I have 75. So I can assign 5 of those parts that just came into this work order because my staff really needs them to do this inspection here, right? Those other 95, they'll be entered into your inventory. Okay, so that's a direct issue. So again, we want to make things really quick and easy and affordable. You don't need to buy hardware to do this. It's all done on the smartphone. All right, so at the very top here, you're going to see a list here eventually when you have your second or third site implemented. I'm actually running 13 or 12 or 13 sites. So today, I will stay in the Maxpanda headquarters site. Okay, this site has, I believe, 10 buildings, 30 assets, so it's got a lot of work orders here. But as an example, I can actually, because I am the company administrator, I can actually go to the New York site. This site is totally different database. Notice they changed their logo. They don't even have a logo. This is different work orders. Everything here is different. Okay, the inventory is managed within here. But the default site of all of these, when I click, when I enter Maxpanda, it'll take me to this one. So you're always going to have a default site. But you two will be the company admins, so you'll have automatic access to all three sites. And again, enterprise account, you can create 100 of them. So Phil can have an IT department, for example, right? To manage only his inventory, his assets, his work requests. Any questions about that?
Nope.
Excellent. So this drop down you won't see in your account. It's only for training and webinar purposes. So again, we are the company administrators. I'm going to stay at this role for the remainder of the presentation. Company admin has access to all the sites. So here, this company-wide link here, when I click that, now I can actually look at every work order. I've got 1,200 in certain statuses here of all the sites here. And I can filter which site I want to see. Maybe I want to only see Maxpanda headquarters, the housekeeping, and New York site. So now I'm at 1,100 work orders. So you have access to every work order across sites. The list view will only list the work orders any specific site you're logged into. We don't need to go through all that today, but this is important. So my work orders, this is a list of all the work orders that Steve has submitted into the system. So we have total communication up until the work order is closed, right? Meaning I can open this up. I can open this one. Let's pretend I submitted this work order like 5 days ago. I can edit and say, hey, Emily, when are you guys going to actually approve this thing? Come on, right? Now there's an email and a push alert that goes back and forth when notes and comments are updated. So again, we're getting rid of your emails, your company emails. We're getting rid of texting and phone calls, right? Everything is done through the mobile and the desktop. By the way, I forgot to mention, what I'm showing you today is 100% doable on the mobile. So everything you're going to see here, it's you're doing on the mobile. Eventually, once all of your assets and your locations are inputted, other than purchase ordering here, which you can't do on the mobile yet, you'll be able to be doing it on the mobile. Okay, so my work orders database of submitted items, and I can, view the progression, right, of when things are being completed. So I don't have to resubmit things. My to-do list would be a list, a database of all work orders that are assigned to myself. So every staff and vendor, this is their entry point. So when staff logs in on the desktop mobile, it takes them to this because that's what's important for them. Okay, so obviously you can see here, I haven't closed or completed these work orders on time. They're all overdue. And Emily received an email because we need the supervisors, editors, admins to be aware of when items or work orders are being fallen through the cracks. Okay, so I'm going to go back to list view here. Now, the major point of the company administrator is they have access to the company tab here. So this company tab this is where you fully customize the entire Maxpanda experience for your company. So I don't think you need to create building groups, like a grouping of multi-buildings within, thousands of buildings. But I believe your asset types will have different names than, let's say, a hospital or a school. So you can define your asset types. You can define your work order priorities. Basically, every dropdown you're going to see in Maxpanda is configurable by the company administrator. Now, I need to, this is very important though, because we allow unlimited users, if you're going to have if you're going to have 3 or 4 company admins, you have to be careful because somebody can go in and change the, let's say a work category name from HVAC to HVAC 1, 2, 3. Well, those other two company admins don't want that. So it's very important to know who you're creating as a company administrator. Company editor is your second in command for the organization or for the site, or actually for all sites, because they have company-wide access. This role can do everything in the account except under the company tab, they only can do two things: reset password and customize the work order labels that are in the submit button. Now, we do have site admin and a site editor. Those two roles mimic the top roles, but they are assigned to a single site. In fact, our permissions are very flexible. So Stephen can be a site admin in Maxpanda headquarters, and he can be a view-only role in New York. So if I go to New York, I wouldn't see all of this menu options here. And I would not be able to edit. I would only view details of a work order. Any questions about that?
Nope.
All right. So for maintenance staff, we've got the 4 roles here: staff limited, unlimited, and supervisors. The difference with your staff can only complete work orders. Same with the vendors. But the supervisors are allowed to close work orders. Now, on my list here, 75 work orders, I'm only showing 3 different statuses. If I wanted to view canceled and closed, every time I logged into Maxpanda, I'm going to have almost 1,400 work orders on this list. But when you close and cancel a work order, you really need to load it every time? No. So I'm just going to be working with these 3 statuses. So that's the difference there, the supervisor. Plus, they have a little bit of, editing functionality there.
And staff, they can submit work orders, of course.
Yeah, everyone here can submit except the viewer and the vendor limited. So, yeah, so if you have contractors, so we have 2 types for you, is the vendor limited. So I logged in as a vendor limited profile here, and you'll notice the submit button is gone. So it's the same thing on the mobile as well. But it does, it takes me to my to-do list, right? But this company can still look at the POs, create an invoice within the work order for you, to charge you on for history, etc. The vendor unlimited, we do give them access to submit work orders, which is actually helpful because if a vendor comes on site to do job number 1, they notice, job number 2 might need work. They can submit it and you can approve it. So they can finish off 2 or 3 work orders for you and then invoice you accordingly. All right, so those roles that I just went through real quick, the submitter role, again, that's someone that you only want to submit work orders in the system. I will send you an Excel sheet or a link to download all the permission tables for all of these roles. Now, these roles here have to be invited in using an email system by the company administrator. So you do that here, you go here, invite a user. And I know you have a lot of users, so simply use the semicolon and start adding them all in. So here's 30, 40 users. They are all going to be submitters, or maybe they're staff unlimited, and they all work in the New York site. So if I click invite, each one of these people will receive an email and a link to set up their profile. So my profile is set up. That's my username. I'm using Maxpanda in English US. I've got all these checked on. So every user can actually check these or uncheck them. So when a part, for example, reaches minimum quantity, am I responsible to create a PO on this? No. So I don't need to get these emails, right? I don't need to have that. But I do need to know when work orders are approved, meaning, assigned to myself. And I'd like to know when they're closed off as well, right? So everyone can set that up themselves. That's at the user level there. Okay, so I'm going to move forward. Any final questions on user management or permissions or site management?
Nope.
Awesome. From the list view here, you can quickly manage millions of work orders right away. by utilizing the checkboxes. The checkboxes allow you to do a multi-status change. So I can actually complete the first 10 work orders right here. Now this one's pending, so it won't let me complete it because it has to be approved or rejected before you can complete a work order, right? So you can multi-status. You can add multiple staff instantly to 10 work orders right now. If I can do that to 50 work orders at a time, right? So here's 50 work orders, and the latest work orders get bumped up to the top of your list. So again, multi-assign, multi-unassign, multi-assign a vendor, for example, excuse me, etc. You can do a quick status report to show you what the work orders were and what they are now by downloading that in an Excel filtered CSV file. All right. So we're going to create a work order right now, and that'll give you a very good indicator of all the capabilities of Maxpanda. This is only the short notes or the work order title of the work orders. This page here also gives you a live filter. So if I wanted to see what Steve is up to out of these 75 work orders, by typing his name here, I see Steve's been assigned to 10 of them. And they're all completed. So that guy's a superstar. He's completing them on time. They're not red overdue. That's awesome. So at this point, I can select them all and do a final close right there. I'm not going to close them, but just wanted to show you every page in Maxpanda at top here has the gray search bar. Again, your data's on the Amazon cloud. There's no delete buttons you can't delete anything that has history on it. This work order has a history. It's been approved. You cannot delete it. So there is no backups with Amazon. It's 17 instances, meaning there's 17 clouds around the world. One goes down, you're on the second one automatically, meaning the only way that Maxpanda will ever be inaccessible is if Amazon goes down, which is highly unlikely. Okay, so let's create a work order. Would you mind one of you two giving me a work order that came in today or yesterday, last week? Just a rough example.
Just a loader needed to have his oil changed.
Oil change, perfect. So that could have been a PM and generated every 3 months, for example. But we'll create one right now. So
that would have been a meter read one as well, right?
I'm sorry?
It could have been one of those meter read ones as well.
That's correct. And our metering module actually allows you to set up or to assign a PM type to the meter as well. So if you have a PM of, how to change the oil and do this, you can assign it to that meter. And when, 3,000 miles hit on the odometer reading, it'll generate that metering type. It'll also pull in the data from the PM into that metering type, as well as pre-assigned tasks. So it's pretty powerful. Okay, so let's do a submitted work order today. This is all customized by yourself, these labels. These are the default ones in Maxpanda. All you need is these 3 items to submit a work order in Maxpanda. So here I'm going to put in loader 123 needs an oil change. I don't need to put the 123 in because I'm going to select the asset from here, our database. Now, this is probably the most important field here when people submit work orders. Why? The text that I just typed in is going to become the hyperlink in the emails that you're going to receive back and forth. So people without smartphones even can open up the email and look at this text here. They can click it and it'll open up the work order right away. Reference, it's also the push notification text, the bubbles, the pop-ups in smartphones. You click that push notification and it'll open up the work order in GoMax, our mobile app. Reference ID is an open field. Use it any way you want. I've seen customers use it for specific codes, GL codes, whatever you need. You can change that text. We'll put 1, 2, 3 here just for fun. This drop down is your work order categories. Categories are great because eventually you can filter them all on the list view and on the map, for example, map view. You can look at all HVAC related work orders, all repair work orders. Today, I don't think I have oil change here. It could be fleet, but I'll just put repair here. Priority. Again, you're going to have low, medium, high, urgent when you first start with Maxpanda. That's the default setting. All these were customized by myself. So I've got a 6-hour due date on it. So this oil change, it has to be done in 6 hours. On the 7th hour, it will turn red. It's going to be overdue, right? And Emily and Phil and Jeff, you're going to receive an email stating that this work order is overdue. Okay. Today we'll put 5 as an example. Here, let me copy paste to save some time. So the person put in the notes here, same thing again. You can carbon copy, or she can carbon copy somebody else outside of the organization. So anyone that doesn't have a user account, you can email them a quick copy of this work request. You don't have customers, so you're not going to use that, but you do have buildings. Maybe this piece of equipment is at the M13 building, and at the location you can notice everything is filtered automatically. So we'll put it's in the grounds, so that's where the truck is, and the asset is, or actually not the grounds. We'll pick first floor, and there's the Ford F-150. So I know you said loader, but I've got a Ford F-150, and I'm also going to put in HVAC unit. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually requesting 2 type of work orders: location based, because I have selected a location, and an asset based work order. So you'll notice in locations we have quick filters: review all location based work orders and review all asset work orders. So there's other areas that people can find that these type of work orders. Now, the submitter would not be able to touch these 3 items. These are set up by the administrator. For example, they can't tell you, hey, don't start this job till Saturday, right? But I can go in because I'm the company administrator. The submitter can take a picture of the Caterpillar machine, the loader, the truck, etc., or add any file. So you can have office docs, pictures, audio files even, and assign them to the work order. I'm not going to add anything. I'll just submit the work order now. So 2 things just happened. Number 1 is, we'll start at the beginning. Number 1 is we have a new work request here on the list view and in the view pending list. The view pending will show only the yellow ones. That's the first thing that happens. So the staff unlimited and higher can see that there's a new pending work order. The second thing is people received an email saying there's a new work order, 1 million, loader 123 needs an oil change. So now someone has to approve this, assign it, etc. So let's go do that. On the smartphones, you could do exactly what I'm doing here, and I'll edit the work order. That little form that you just saw is actually 7 different pages of data. So our work orders are almost like mini projects. So you can collect a lot of information within Maxpanda. Some customers don't use 90% of this information. Some customers utilize every page. So everything's optional. It's up to you. I can actually assign this work order right now by clicking staff. I'm going to assign it to Amber, and I can approve it. That's it. So Amber is going to receive an email and a push alert with a green status change saying approved. She's responsible to complete that work order within 5 days. Okay. We're going to get into more detail though. Okay. Instead of 30 seconds, give me about 3 minutes. So right now I'm going to pretend I'm Phil or Emily. Maybe it's you. You're going to review this work order. So 5 days. You know that this thing needs to be done quicker than 5 days. Let's escalate it to today. Okay, so Emily, you're giving the people now 24 hours to complete this work order. And here is the notes that Steve, the submitter, can continuously add to. The comments is where the staff or vendor would put in any comments, and it is visible by the submitter. So there's communication back and forth every time new text is added here. The private notes are only visible for your maintenance department. That would be your staff, limited, and higher. Okay. Moving down here, this is a timestamped automatically by Maxpanda, but only the company admin can change that if you so want to. So notice this is still 5 days. It's going to change shortly. We know which user submitted this request, Steve. He's an operator. You can add more files to the work order. You know where the work order is related to, where you're going, or the staff will know where they're going and which piece of equipment it's related to. This is warranty information, by the way. You can hide it or show it, totally up to you. This is your asset tag that you defined earlier when you created your database. Okay, so when I created this Ream HVAC 5-ton air handler unit, I tagged it 36, right? I have another tag 37, 38, 39, etc. Warranty is dead on this thing, so whatever we get out of it is great. Vendor assignment, I'm going to assign this work order to an external vendor. They have an account with us. That's why there's a drop down here. So this one is a preferred vendor that's associated to this building. That's why they have red. So 2 vendors are assigned to the work order. We have status history that will store every action within every work order. The next tab is your task module. So if you want to add another task, you click on Add New Task. And I've got 32 task templates. So here's one called Roof Inspection. I'm going to add that task to the work order. Let's edit it to see what it looks like. So I actually developed this task inspection checklist 10 years ago. So on the mobile, I can assign a different staff member, maybe Jack. So Jack's our internal maintenance personnel. He's now only responsible to complete the task and collect all the details here. So Jack now will go up on the roof. He'll look at the attic condition. He'll put a 5. Is there any garbage on the roof? No. We're not going to do this task today. No, not much time left. But the type of details, like I mentioned earlier, are numbers, letters, dates with time, and checkboxes. So you develop your checklist. These are all conducted on the mobile. You can notify another personnel, maybe Maxwell, when Jack has completed this task. So then Maxwell can actually do task B, right? Right now I only have 1 task, but you can sort that later on, so forth and so forth. The tasks must be completed and filled out before the work order gets completed. Okay. So right now I'm going to remove that because we don't want to fill up a bunch of tasks. Part management. Now you'll notice there's 4 parts here. There's 3 filters. There's a displacer. I don't know what that is. These parts are in our inventory. They have been pre-assigned to these 2 assets that I selected. So your staff will see that there's 300 here, 21 here, 400, etc. in our inventory. So on the mobile, they would put in how many they've used, any comments they want to say, like, hey, you should order more. But every one of these parts has a minimum notification. Okay, so I can set up 200 as a minimum notifier for this part. So if I use 91 here, this will go down to 200 on hand. Then both of you will email with a link to the part to, order some more or create a purchase order or pull in a template. Now, staff, I added Amber to the work order. I'm going to add some more people, maybe Jack and Gary, not Gary, Maxwell. So it's going to take 3 people. Now I set up their hourly rates and I only see that. Only administrators can see that number. We will capture now on Amber, Jack, Maxwell, on the iPhones or Androids. They're going to put in how many hours and minutes they worked. We also have tool time. Okay. Tool time is the actual seconds and minutes and hours it took somebody to actually change the filter. Because sometimes the work order, they might have spent 2 hours on the entire work order, but tool time is the actual time. There's a stop and start clock here, but it will only show if I'm assigned to the work order there. So once I approve it, there's going to be a start and stop clock, and that's also on the mobile as well. So I'll be able to see myself or that function on the mobile. Invoice. We're not going to add an invoice yet. I'll show you that later. Nobody uploaded any documents or pictures, but under company attachments, this is what was pre-assigned to the location that I selected. So that building, M13, the manufacturing 13 building, that's the first floor. It's got a Google map as well, so people know exactly where they're going on the mobile. It has, the asset has other information as well, even a YouTube video of how to change the oil filter. Well, this is the air filter for this unit here. Same with the parts, any documents. So whatever you want to attach, whether it's pictures, docs, or external web links, you can attach to the work order. That's going to help our staff there. I'm going to now approve the work order by clicking a button. So I went into great detail. I know it took a long time, but I just wanted to make sure you've seen every function within the system. All right, so Emily, you approved this work order. You assigned it to people. You escalated it now to urgent. Okay, so somebody now, these people have to complete the tasks. I don't have any tasks on it. I took them out, but this one here will show you 0 out of 2 tasks have been completed, etc. This one has an attachment. That's your print. Okay, so edit the work order. Let's close it off right now. Now, if I was a maintenance personnel, I would not be able to see this button here, cancel, and I would not be able to close the work order. So all the permissions are set up. Keep in mind, I'm still the admin, so I get to see all the functionality here. I can put it on hold because I ordered parts and I know those parts will not arrive within 24 hours. So put it on hold, put a note why you're doing that. When the parts arrive, put it back in progress, do the job, complete the work order, okay? We're going to skip all that. I'm just going to close it off. So here I'm just going to put replaced oil filter, took an hour, whatever the maintenance personnel wanted to put in there. Moving on down here, we'll pretend all the tasks were done. Parts, we'll pretend we use 2 of everything. So 2 of these, this will go down to 19 on hand, etc. The staff, they all work different hours on this job. 10 minutes, 1 minute, 2 hours. Now here's the start clock time. So tool time is paused. I could have set it and it'll capture actually me, maybe 30 minutes of actual wrench time, tool time, whatever you like to call it. But I'm putting down 2 hours and 10 minutes for labor. Invoice, maybe your vendor, that Acme Electric that we added, created an invoice for you for 409. This was an old invoice, but they would have had it here. So to recap, we are now capturing external vendor cost to this piece of equipment, labor cost to that equipment, parts cost, because these 8 parts have a cost to them when you brought them into the system, and any other tasks that you wanted to capture. So at this point, we'll pretend it was orange on your list. You simply close the work order. You can put a note why. I won't do that. 2 things are happening. Everybody related to the work order, including Steve, the submitter, received an email and push alerts that it was closed. The other thing is the work order has disappeared from the screen because I'm hiding my closed work orders. I like to customize my view. There is the work order there. Before I go into the PM library, I'm going to show a report now. And under here, this is my schedule. I can schedule all of these 25, 26 different reports, and as many as I want. I can schedule them weekly or monthly, or grab data right now. I'm going to grab an SLA export. SLA is a service level agreement. So I'm going to go from February 1st till today. And I want to see what's happening in this account, in this site right now. So if it's under 60 days, which I did select, I can grab the data right now. Anything over 60 days, you schedule it, it'll be ready for you at 3 in the morning. And you can download the sheet there. So in 5 seconds, I created a 5-page report where I could download in various formats. Here is your work order today. So this report is very popular. It deals with time and money. The left side is all about the time. So the status of this loader now for the oil change, it's closed, the work order. We'll show you when it was created, approved, start date. What was the planned due date? Remember Steve said, I want this done by 5 days. Well, you know what? Somebody escalated it, right? So it was the actual due date was 1 day. Now, we skipped all this stuff here. We went right to close, and you'll notice we timestamped your data to the second, right? Moving on over, the middle part is all about the information related, asset, the tag number, staff related to it, any notes entered, any comments entered. And at the far right here, you'll see the total hours, labor costs, parts costs, total invoice from the vendor, and we spent almost $1,100 today on that filter change. Any questions on the reporting module or any of these reports?
Does it integrate well with, so our payroll system, ADP? So if we were to give somebody a raise, do we have to, can we just do that within our payroll system and have this associated with it? Because that will affect the labor cost.
No, we've got our API right now. It's per customer, so we do have an API. And through Zapier, Zapier is a connector that allows Maxpanda to connect to up to 1,000 different online applications. So we would have to develop that or create that connector for you. But that would only be one thing, right? That would only be one. But I'm sure you're interested in other connectors as well, like totals and stuff. So that's something we can talk about later on because that's done at the customer level, not globally.
Got it.
All right.
Is the compatibility with
Microsoft Great Plains to be able to get, that's our accounting system that we use. So we need to make sure that API, we can integrate.
You have to click online, and I think Zapier might have a Great Plains, a GP connector. I'm not sure. I know they have Sage and QuickBooks. In fact, my account, I think I have any webhooks. So I've got a couple webhooks where I can create a customer, or I can create a customer invoice, and this invoice through Zapier gets pushed into our QuickBooks Online. You don't have customers, so we would have to develop the webhook that you're interested in. So that's something later on we can talk about.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so when you're entering the work order, can you make different fields mandatory, or is that editable?
No, it is. Where is it? Your custom. So under preferences here. Let's see here. You can track hours for your people, your staff. So if all your staff hit 90% of their max hours, sends you an email, notification. Here's the required fields here. These are in the box that I've shown you. Is an asset hours required. So staff hours means Maxwell had to put in how long he worked. He can't just leave it blank, right?
Gotcha.
So, there's a lot of information here. Now, or customization. Under site management, if you look at my guest service portal here, so we talked about the guest service portal. Instead of having somebody like a submitter role, which needs a username and password, you can just create this link. You can give everyone this link or put it on your website. This site, Maxpanda Headquarter, I call it, my code word for it is demo. So if I copy this, and I'll go to it in a second, you could customize the entire form. So this kind of customization is actually being added to the submit form within Maxpanda. So here, because it's an open form, you can actually force people to, an email is required to put it, to submit a work order. Because without knowing who's doing, a submission, you might get people doing spam and stuff like that. This link can be on your website, or you can just give people this QR code. So this QR code can be scanned by any QR code reader in the world. So download a free one, scan it, and you could submit a work order. You can add links to the form as well. So here's what the form would look like on your iPhone. So your company logo here, the site name, and I'm showing every field so people can see what's available. And you'll notice these are required, right?
Yep. Okay.
And there's the links there. All right, so pretty similar to other systems that you're using there. I want to show you quickly. I know I'm over my 1 hour limit. I'm going to go into the PMs right now. Because you have 3 sites, this is something handy here. We've got a boilerplate. This is a place where you can put in. It's a scratch pad. Put down your ideas related to a piece of equipment or location. You can then make that boilerplate a template. Templates are shared in our shared template library. Okay, so these are all shared now by customers. And if I go here, but if you don't want to share them with the community, like all of our customers globally, you can create the template and only share it for your sites. What that does now is the person at Maxpanda headquarters site has, let's say, 10, 20 PMs, really good PMs. He can make them as templates, and the people in New York and Australia can pull those in. So what you're doing there is you're actually assisting the entire organization get standardizing operations, right? Yeah. Everyone's using the same PM. Okay, so I'm going to open up a PM here. This one has, it's active, it's running. It's that Ream HVAC unit we looked at today for the work order. So the PM is five accordions. This is an actual PM. It's generating work orders. Every title is going to be the same, Ream HVAC inspection. I'm giving my staff 14 days, not the 5 days. I'm overriding it. I'm giving them 14 days for every work order to complete it, for every work order this PM generates. I copy pasted it from the O&M manual right from Ream's website. You can add files at the PM level. They will be attached here. These files are above and beyond what you saw earlier related to that HVAC unit. So I have a procedure diagram that'll assist my staff to clean the coils, check, condenser unit, whatever. I have a safety checklist as well. So what you saw earlier, these 3 will be added to that work order as well. You can pre-assign your staff, vendor, parts, assets, whatever, to the PM and the metering type, and then just save it and let Maxpanda run itself, right? It'll automatically assign every work order. Let's say this was daily to the maintenance department and Maxflow. The scheduler is like Outlook calendar, so very familiar to you. If this was a filter change, I would select every Monday, the first Monday, or even the last Monday, whatever, the first Monday of every 3 months. So on the first Monday of every 3 months, a new work order will generate and assign it to staff accordingly. If you had a contract with a vendor, that's a year contract right there. So 4 work orders times 3, 1 year. I've pre-assigned 5 tasks that need to be completed. Each task has much data to gather. Attachment we saw, and every PM you create, we will store your work orders assigned to that PM. The cool thing here is I can go back to April of 2015 and open up the work order that this PM generated, and I can see who worked on it, what we did to it, any costs, any parts used, whatever, right? So if I scroll all the way down, this is every work order it's generated. And these are the future work orders. These are not active yet, but you can see here, March 23rd, this will be activated. It's going to turn green as approved. Any questions on the preventive maintenance module?
No, I don't.
So the last thing we want to look at today, I do have a 12 o'clock webinar, sorry. I mean, it's in 40 minutes, but this is the calendar here. And some people like the list view. Others like to see work orders on a map. And this is a live map with here maps. Others like the calendar. And again, the calendar you can filter. You can utilize all of these filters, maybe just staff, etc. I'm not going to filter anything. I'll run it all. So this is my world in March, and you can go back in time, forward in time. You can look at weekly view. So if you're setting up work orders or getting work orders in by half-hour slots, etc. Now, if I scroll down here, today's the 20th. You can see March 20th here. On the Friday, you'll notice it's a light blue one. The light blue is future work orders. So on Friday, I guess Thursday at 12:01 a.m., it will turn green. That's when it's going to activate. And it is a 24-hour base work order, so it's due Friday night. What if Phil wasn't available to complete this pool filter change? Okay, so Phil, he can actually move it to tomorrow or to Monday, and that'll reschedule everything automatically, assignments, due dates, etc. So you've got a quick view of every work order here. It's all color-coded. You could drag and drop. You can extend the time of the work orders, like this one here. You can say 1 week versus 3 days, etc. Questions on the calendar?
No.
Excellent. Any questions whatsoever? I just want to make sure I covered. I know that's a lot of information that we just went through in the past hour.
I don't have any, except for when you use the part that, where do you go for the purchasing side of things?
Sure. That's all in accounting here. So you can create a new purchase order, or you can have templates if you're continuously ordering the the same part, or you can create a brand new one. My POs, these are all my purchase orders here. It's all set up for automatic notifications by different statuses. So we've got back ordered parts as well. Once a part, we have approval as well for the POs. If you're not a administrator, you'll need approval from, especially a supervisor, to create request part as pending and then get it approved, etc. Once parts arrive, they'll go into your inventory. So we have part inventory, manage part transfers, so you can actually transfer a part from site to site, or building to right down to the location level. Okay, so these are all my parts here. I have 38 different parts only in this database here. So we have barcodes for parts that you can download, or QR codes. You simply use the checkbox. This is parts on hand and work order. So you'll notice this is 294. This is parts quantity on hand 293. So obviously there's one extra that's on a work order right now. Cost of the parts, sell price, etc. I didn't go into the detail here, but here I can actually download every QR code, and small ones or medium, etc. And you can scan these parts. You can change quantity, bring in inventory, etc. Utilizing the mobile app as well. So again, this is something that once you log in, you'll start utilizing and get familiar with. It's not, overcomplicated. I hope not, but yeah. So as you complete work orders with that, remember we took 8 parts out of today's work order. All that quantity on hand got reduced by 2.
Okay.
Jeff, do you have any questions?
Not at this time, I don't.
Excellent. So I have your email, Jeff. I'm not sure if I have Emily's email, but I'll send you a post-thank you email. It'll have technical docs related to the entire application. If I go here, I'm also going to email you this link here, CMMS Role Management. So feel free to download the PDF file. It's a grid of what every user can do in Maxpanda.
Okay.
The other thing we didn't go through is the mobile app. It's, even during your free trial, you could download it. The mobile app, we have a permission settings here for you as well to review. It scans all assets, location, parts, as well, not the guest portal. The guest portal, you have to use a free QR code reader, as well as any barcodes you create. So again, very, very simple to use. 4 big buttons to go in and then create or complete work orders on the fly.